What's going on, guys? This is Paul from Respect the Tech, and today I have a new product unboxing of something I'm very excited to be sharing with you guys. This is going to be my new on-the-go editing rig. This is the Dell XPS 9560. Many consider this laptop to be one of the best that the Windows platform has to offer. Personally, I'm just excited to see how it's actually going to hold up with my editing workflow. But enough of that, let's get straight into it. Now, as far as pricing for the XPS 15, you're going to be looking at $999 for starting, and if you're looking to max it out, such as I did, you're going to be looking at around $2,599 up to around $2,899, just depending on what kind of additional features you want on it. Now, getting into the box itself, a little bit more sturdy than I expected. Oh wow, there's no extra box in here. It looks like we just got the laptop itself, it looks like. Oh, no, I am wrong. So, in here we have nothing, just extra padding, nothing too worried about. Here we're just going to go ahead and remove this. On the top here we are greeted with the Dell logo. Other than that, no barcode, serial numbers, anything like that. So let's just get into it. Oh, wow. Oh yeah, I like this. What we're looking at here is an aluminum build, silver, really nice, very light. I believe this version actually weighs about 4.5 pounds, so it's not heavy at all. Very, very slim. I'm a fan. Honestly, I'm very excited. I'm just gonna go ahead and take this off here. Nothing like the sweet sound of plastic ripping off of your product. Okay, looks like we got the front here. Upon opening this, oh man, this is sweet. So the screen itself is a 15.6 inch 4K Infinity Edge display. What that means is this really doesn't have any bezels at all. Don't get me wrong, there still is a very small bezel. And of course, doing something like this, Dell did have to sacrifice the front video camera. Unfortunately, they decided to place it on the very bottom, which is honestly the dumbest thing they could have ever done. But apparently the camera itself sucks anyways because it's 720p, and who the hell wants that? But other than that, the screen, it is 100% Adobe RGB calibrated, which means if you're going to be doing any kind of photo editing or video editing, personally I would strongly recommend going with the 4K display. It is glossy. They do also offer it in a full regular standard HD display, which gives you a matte finish over the screen itself. So if you're going to be doing a lot of reading or maybe doing a work outside, that might be more of your personal preference, and you might also get extra battery life. So mind you, when you are going with the 4K display, you are going to be sacrificing battery life. Looking on the side here, we got standard ports. We have the power adapter, we got a USB 3.0, we got HDMI, Thunderbolt 3, and the headphone adapter. On this side, we are greeted with the SD card slot, as well as another USB 3.0 adapter, our battery gauge indicator, and a Kensington lock. Our speakers are actually going to be located on the bottom front edge of the laptop itself, and then of course we have the fan here. And one thing to note about the interior here is that you'll see that this is a carbon fiber material. It's nice, and it's supposed to keep the laptop really cool. So as you're doing your work, I wouldn't expect this to heat up just as much as the aluminum would on the outside. The keys, they feel okay. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you how the typing is just yet, but I can tell you just by touching these that it's probably not going to be as good as some of the finer Surface Book laptops that I've dealt with, or even some of the higher end HP laptops that I've dealt with. Other than that, I think it looks really good. The trackpad is really nice. It's not as big as what you would expect on newer MacBooks. It's supposed to be really responsive. It is a precision trackpad, so I'm looking forward to see how good that actually does for me. As far as what we're looking at on the insides, we are getting an Intel i7 Kaby Lake 7700 processor with an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 graphics card with 4 gigs of RAM. And then as far as RAM goes on this itself, it is maxed all the way out to 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, as well as 1 terabyte solid state hard drive. So expect this bad boy to boot up in a matter of seconds. Honestly, this is awesome. I'm really hoping that this does everything I want it to do. Personally, I'm really just going to be doing it for editing. I'm pretty sure you can do some gaming on it. I would probably say maybe the occasional gaming. If you're a hardcore gamer, for sure, there's definitely better options out there for you. But if you're going to be doing any kind of editing, like whether it be Photoshop, Lightroom, Premiere Pro, such as myself, I would definitely go with something like this, just because that stuff appears to be more optimized for Windows anyways. Other than that, this is just a great laptop all over. I have no complaints about the build quality whatsoever. I'm just really excited to see how this performs and holds up with my daily needs. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead now and take a look at the quality control performance of the Dell XPS 15. Now, before we get into the quality control of the Dell XPS 15, I want to take this time to apologize. During my initial unboxing of it, due to the excitement I had of actually showing you guys the laptop itself, I completely forgot about 2 things. So I want to take the time out now to show you that before we get into the initial testing. It turns out in the box itself we do have the AC adapter and the plug for it. This is the one that goes to the brick to the wall, and this is the one that actually goes into the laptop itself. I gotta say, I do like it. It's pretty light for its size. I was expecting it to be a bit heavier, but I'm pleasantly surprised that it's not. It reminds me very much like a smartphone portable battery that you've probably seen in stores or online. All in all, I think it's pretty cool. Now, when you initially take the laptop out of the box that it's in, you are greeted with the quick start guide and the warranty information, but like always, you're probably not going to be using this, so we're going to toss that to the side. Now, usually when you're doing online shopping, assuming you're like me, you take the time out to go online. You like to Google the product you're looking at. You want to see, hey, what are people saying about it? Is it good? Is it not good? Is there certain things I need to look out for when I actually buy this? You know, all sorts of stuff. When I was initially looking into getting a laptop, I was wanting something for video editing. I knew I used Adobe Premiere a lot, so I figured that Windows was probably going to be my go-to OS of choice. So when I saw that the Dell XPS 15 was coming up a lot, I did notice that people were mentioning some quality control issues that they were having with theirs. Things to note, such as when you lay the laptop on a flat surface, it wobbles. Audio issues, so any kind of like distortion when you're listening to music or playing videos. If you turn it up, the music gets real distorted. Coil Whine was also a big one that I saw, which is like if you're just on your main home screen, and even if the laptop's not doing any extensive work, if you listen closely, like through the keyboard, you'd actually hear like some noise coming out, like a really loud noise that shouldn't be happening unless it's probably like under an extensive workload. But just having it while it's not doing anything is definitely a big issue. Other things that I've noticed was the Wi-Fi was also dropping out a lot. So all this stuff I just kind of took a mental note of, and I just knew that I was actually going to take a gamble when I bought this laptop. So now that I have it here with me, I'm going to go ahead and do that initial quality control testing with you guys, so you guys can see how mine turns out, and just so you guys can know if you guys are ever interested in picking up this laptop, some of the things you should actually be looking for. So without further ado, now we're going to go ahead now and get into the quality control of the Dell XPS 15. Now, before we get into the inside part of the laptop, I want to preface this by saying that I have already gone through the initial setup process. I didn't want to bore you guys with that whole long excruciating setup of, you know, signing into my Wi-Fi and answering all the terms and conditions and whatnot. So I just went ahead and completely bypassed all that. So right now we're actually going to go ahead and just get started on testing the build itself. I'm going to be taking my hand and I'm just going to be pressing along the edges of the laptop itself, and we're just going to be trying to listen for any kind of wobble or anything that shows that any kind of possible misalignment with the laptop. So I'm going to go ahead now and just get started with that and go from there. Halfway through, I can already tell you guys that so far everything is good. As you can see, that passed flying colors, no issues whatsoever. I didn't get any pushback indicating that the laptop is not balanced correctly, which is good to know, because I have seen videos online where people actually resorted to bending their laptop a bit just so they can have it on a flat surface without getting any kind of wobble. I'm gonna go ahead now and just pick this up a little bit just to see if we get any kind of weird noises coming from the laptop itself, because one of the things I have noticed as well is when people press on certain areas of the laptop, or if it's lifted up, that it just makes a lot of noises that it shouldn't be. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick lift up and see how that goes. So far that was good as well. Nothing that I've heard that gave me any sign or reason for caution. Another good sign. Looks like everything is panning out just like I had hoped. So now I'm just going to go ahead and sign into this real quick so you guys can go ahead and see how it does as far as just initial impressions, and go from there. So right away you can see this laptop is fast. This does have all the bloatware that Dell issued to me. I do plan on doing a clean install of Windows before I actually start loading up all my editing software on it. But right now this is pretty much just kind of out of the box. One of the things that I was worried about when I had read about this is this has been reported to have screen flickering issues. Now that's something that I probably don't think we'll even be able to capture in this video if it ends up happening, just because that, from what I've noticed, that it's kind of been random for most people. So what I'm going to be doing is when I actually do the full review of the laptop, I'm going to update you guys and let you know if I run into that issue itself. I'm hoping that doesn't become a problem. Now we're actually going to go ahead and see the brand of the solid state drive that I had got put in on this one. They have different options, some going from Samsung to Toshiba, and as well as another brand. So we're going to go ahead and take a look in here and see which one I actually got issued. Going into the disk drives here. So that's one we got. So this is the NVMe SSD. This was the third one that most people had said they had preferred. Toshiba was the one that most people, I guess, were wanting to stay away from. Not that it was having any kind of bad performance issues, but most people were reporting that the Samsung and the third party one, which I'm guessing is this one, was the one that was doing better as far as read and write performance speeds. So that's good to know. Now as far as the Wi-Fi card goes, I know people were reporting that the killer wireless card that comes in this has issues out of the box with maintaining connection, especially if you have high internet speeds. So I think a good way of testing that is I'm probably going to go on YouTube right now, and I'm just going to play back a video and see how that goes, see if we run into any kind of buffering, and go from there. I know many people reported that if you actually go on the Killer Wireless manufacturing site, you can download their updated driver, which is supposed to resolve this Wi-Fi issue. So we're just going to go ahead now and just load up a video on YouTube and just see how it does as far as maintaining a solid connection. My Wi-Fi is pretty solid. I get anywhere from but I want to say about 70 to like 200 down, so I don't see connection being an issue unless it's coming from the wireless card itself. So just gonna find something here that will push this to the limit, I guess you could say, as far as playback goes. I'm gonna go ahead and play back one of my latest videos, which is the new Nintendo 2DS. All my videos are in 4K, and I'm gonna go ahead and load it up in 4K and see how it actually performs and holds up.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Paul from Respect the Tech, and today I have a new product from Nintendo's handheld mic. That product is the...
So right now, you can see right now it's in regular HD for 1440p. I'm gonna go ahead and crank it up now to 4K, and we're gonna see if we run into any kind of connection issues.
Side-by-side comparison with previous Nintendo handhelds, such as the new Nintendo 3DS XL, the original 2DS.
Looks like the bar is loading fine. I guess that's a good sign. It's going to be tough to say how this actually holds up over time. I know right away I'm probably just going to update the drivers anyways, just to be safe. So I would strongly recommend that if you're going to be doing something like this, that you'd actually consider doing the same. But so far so good for the wireless connection right now, as it is on the full 4K option, so no issue there. What I am going to want to do now is we're going to be listening for any kind of coil whine coming from the laptop. So what I mean by that is we're on this main screen here, and the laptop isn't doing anything extensive. There's no programs open. I have none of my software on here. So there's nothing on here that should be causing it to have any kind of workload. So what we're going to do is we're going to have I'm going to place the mic up close onto the keyboard now, just so you guys can see if we're getting any kind of noise coming from the keyboard that we shouldn't be getting. So I'm going to go ahead now and give you guys that close up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is just start opening up some of the apps that's already installed on the laptop itself, and we're just going to be trying to listen for any kind of coil whine coming from the laptop. So far I have about 4 programs open, and I don't hear anything going on just yet. It's definitely something that I will be updating you guys as the review gets released. So other than that, I believe this is going to wrap up our quality control of the Dell XPS 15 9560. So there you guys have it. This is the unboxing for the Dell XPS 15 9560, as well as the initial quality control test. If you guys want me to do any kind of extra testing on it, just be sure to leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely be doing that during my initial review for it. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you're notified when I actually review this laptop, and be sure to follow me at respect_tech951. Until then, this is Paul from Respect the Tech, and I'll see you guys in the next video.